Do you found a job?
Do you found a job? Rich, who had just returned home after going out, looked at his girlfriend, who was cooking and shook his head apologetically. His girlfriend didn't seem disappointed or emotional, as if not finding a job was a normal thing. Rich tried to avoid verbal communication as much as possible, fearing that this woman who slept next to him every day would notice something unusual about him. His girlfriend walked over to the worn-out wooden table, holding a deformed frying pan, and placed a fried egg on a plate of minced meat before sitting down.
Don't worry too much. I still have some money here. Maybe you'll find a job tomorrow. Let's eat first.
Rich nodded and started eating the not-so-delicious dinner. The fork pierced the slightly solidified outer layer of the egg, and the thick yolk flowed onto the minced meat, like a natural seasoning or some kind of sauce, making the meat more appealing. He mechanically ate his food while his mind was thinking about other things. He had traveled through time. He didn't know the scientific principles behind it, or any other reasons, but one thing was certain. He had traveled through time. Before the time travel, he had done many jobs: a deliveryman, an insurance salesman, a runner, a part-time cook. In the 30 years before his time travel, he had done many insignificant jobs, and there had been a huge change after he turned 30. In his later words, he had accumulated experience in the first 30 years, and then he used that experience to succeed in moving the judge with his eloquent speech. Then, after sleeping in that cramped room for the first time, and planning to write an autobiography to recall his legendary life, he gradually fell into a daze and fell asleep, only to wake up in this world. After the time travel, he appeared in this home, and the owner of this body happened to be named Rich as well, but this was another world unrelated to his previous life. Apart from a girlfriend, he had nothing. Now, he resembled the kind of social scum that was the most failed, living off his girlfriend, relying on her for food and shelter. Apart from helping his girlfriend with some troubles at night, he was like a parasite. For the past few days, he had been using the excuse of going out to find a job and exploring this world, which gave him a sense of novelty that he couldn't quite describe. It felt like the 1940s or 1950s, or the period of technological explosion in the 1960s or 1970s. Technology wasn't very advanced, but it was also in a period of technological breakthroughs. Many products kept appearing in front of the public, making it overwhelming. He saw a slogan on a propaganda poster in the street: "Every day is a new day." In his eyes, this world, this society, was full of money, and all he had to do was bend over and pick it up. His blood was boiling slightly, and his heart became strong and powerful. Deep down, he had a desire. He firmly believed that there was a reason for his time travel. Perhaps, something brought me here to leave behind my own legend.
Go heat up some water. Let's take a shower today, his girlfriend said as she cleaned the dishes.
Rich nodded, stood up, and walked towards the nearby bathroom. As he walked, he casually asked, "We just showered yesterday." During his time since the time travel, he discovered that he and his girlfriend had very specific plans for their lives, not completely chaotic. The weather now wasn't hot or cold, and if he didn't engage in intense physical activity, he wouldn't easily sweat, so they didn't need to shower every day. It wasn't that people didn't want to clean their bodies every day, but it was because changing clothes and hot water required payment. Rich people don't care about these small expenses. They even install a boiler in their house to provide heating, and buy a washing machine to do laundry anytime, anywhere. But for poor people, these are unnecessary expenses that they cannot afford, so their lives have to become regular. They carefully calculate every expense and live a disciplined life like a monk to save every penny. This is their life, not because they wanted to be disciplined, but because of poverty. They meticulously calculate every expenditure and live a disciplined life like monks to save every penny. This is their way of life. It's not that they want to live this way, but it's mostly because of poverty. Rich's girlfriend turned and walked to the sink, turning on the valve to wash the dishes.
After midnight, our hot water will be shut off. We'll pay next week to save some money.
Rich shrugged and walked into the bathroom, turning on the valve. After letting out the cold water in the front, hot steamy water flowed out of the pipes. After taking a shower, the two of them lay on the narrow bed and quickly fell into a deep sleep. Rich's girlfriend works at a supermarket as a cashier, working 10 hours a day, including 1 hour of break time. She often brings back some expired or discounted groceries and household items from the supermarket. This is why they can survive with only one person working. They were high school sweethearts who couldn't get into college. Rich worked as a laborer for a while, but quit because the job was too tiring. Catherine, his girlfriend, found this job at the supermarket and has been holding on to it. Catherine, who is his girlfriend, found this job at the supermarket and has been able to keep it. This is a typical loser's family. Neither Rich nor Catherine knows how long they can sustain this kind of life. Maybe they can hold on until they get married and continue to barely make ends meet. But it's also possible that this fragile relationship and feeling could end any time due to some sudden emotional outburst. The next morning, Rich quickly freshened up, and Catherine had already left. There was a box of cereal and a bottle of milk left on the table. He poured the milk into a pot and heated it, glancing at the expiration date. Not surprisingly, it was already 2 days past the expiration date. Such milk would be discarded directly at the supermarket, but many supermarket employees endure long working hours and low wages just to have access to these free things. The rich milk aroma was somewhat intoxicating. Rich was used to using hot milk to soak something, while Catherine and others were used to direct soaking, which didn't feel good. After breakfast, he briefly tidied up his appearance and stopped at a street not far from where they rented. These days, he hadn't done nothing, but of course, it didn't mean he was looking for a job. He was just considering where to get his first sum of money. Although this world is completely different from another world, the development trajectory of some things can still be traced. For example, you know that land is worth every inch of gold 100 years later. You know that the price of artworks increases every year, and you know, when everyone is in Rich's current position, they all feel ambitious because most of them can grasp the future's pulse. But the problem is, most people's ambitions can only remain as ambitions. They won't become reality because now is not the future, and anything requires capital. Where does capital come from? This thing didn't fall from the sky, nor did it float in with the water. In fact, many people, even if given the opportunity to go back in the past, still wouldn't have the ability to change their lives. Maybe there are some who can, but it's limited. They might just buy 1 or 2 more houses and then watch their assets double when they grow old, which is different from what they initially envisioned. Some people are destined to make a difference, while others, even if given the chance, are powerless. It is clear that Rich belongs to the former category. He already possesses all the qualities and has achieved success, which is the decisive factor. He stands here, staring at the laundry shop across the street for most of the morning, writing and drawing in a notebook. He is earning his first bucket of gold. When the crowd on the street starts to thin out around noon, 2 men in trench coats block their way. One of them has his hand inside the coat, seemingly holding something. "Mr. Fox wants to see you, friend." These 2 men don't look like good people, but it's also possible that Rich is overthinking. He shows no fear at this moment. Instead, a smile appears on his face. "I've been waiting for you guys for days." "What are you waiting for? Lead the way."